Mike? Hello? Can you hear me? Is that working? Can you all hear me? Give me a heads up. Hello? Is that working? You can hear me. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Um, it's weird in Streamlabs, there's like multiple ways to mute and unmute, and it's not very good layout the way it's the it's not clear whether something is going through or not. So, okay. All good. It's a little low. Let me see if I can bump it up a little bit. Well, hold on. I think if I just do that, that should be a bit better. I don't know why this doesn't adjust it. I'm still so unfamiliar with how all this technology works. Why is this so low? Let me see if I can change something here. It's up to the max there. Give me 1 second. Volume. No, input. Oh, I can just turn this up. Let's move that up to like there. How's that? Is that a bit better? And then maybe I can stand a bit further back. Okay, hopefully that's working. If I start peaking, someone in the chat let me know. But I'm going to start. So I'm trying to do some sun lore hunting, trying to figure out what's going on with the sun. So I'll just walk through quickly what I have here for right now, but it's mostly, this is just going to be me kind of thinking out loud and adding in things to this Miro board and rearranging them and trying to figure out what to do. So not going to be a super exciting stream. I have to say this is more of a low-key vibe right now. So, okay, but here's what I'm starting from. So I guess I'll just read this. Given how replete Elden Ring is with mythical archetypes and tropes, it is extremely weird that the sun is only mentioned once outside of the eclipse directly. There is no symbol more universally important across all mythical and mystical traditions. Its absence as a symbol of importance in Elden Ring should raise suspicions immediately. It should be noted how strange this is, especially considering the importance of stars, light, fire, gold, and the night in Elden Ring, which are all very directly connected to the sun. And I would also say just the passage of time, because that's another thing that the sun governs is, I mean, you think about all the different mystical traditions, mythical and mystical traditions. Usually, the sun is of, if not primary importance, close to it. It's either the head god, or it's the watchful eye in the sky. It's a pair with the moon. It's this thing which, I mean, it's the most important symbol in any, think about any religion, any myth, any system of mystical thought. The sun is so important, and you look at the ones that are clearly sources of influence for Elden Ring. So, I mean, you take alchemy. Okay, we have all these different alchemical references or inspirations in Elden Ring. One of the most important ones in alchemy is the sun equated with gold. And we have the opposite of that. We have a connection between the moon and silver, which is the sort of the counterpart. So if you have the moon and silver, and this is like super important, and the moon is really important in Elden Ring, then why don't you have the sun and gold, right? You think about any like the Ra, the sun god. So I started putting a few of these in. I'll get to this later maybe, but I just started putting in a couple of them. So like in the Egyptian myths, you have Ra is like the head god, and he is sort of equated with the sun. And there's a lot of like variations in Egyptian mythology. I'm not super familiar with it, but Horus is there's like the older Horus and the younger Horus, which gets kind of confusing. But Horus is kind of equated with Ra in certain versions, and he has his right eye is the sun, the left eye is the moon. Also, kind of interesting is Wajet, is this cobra deity who is also a lion. So it's a snake that's also a lion, and she encircles the sun, the red sun. So that's kind of like, well, okay, that's pretty interesting. And then you have things like Apollo. And in the Greek mythology, you also have like Helios is literally the his flaming chariot is the sun, but in various versions, like Apollo is also he's the rising sun, and that's like the divine twins trope, which you see in all sorts of mythology. And Artemis is also Diana, the huntress, and she's also the moon. And also you have Selene, who is the actual moon goddess, but again, they're sort of versions of this sort of mix and match people together. So in a lot of mythologies, there's like a development of different sort of local myths sort of get combined and amalgamated, and they transform over time. And so you have something like Bacchus is this. It starts out as this wild cult of young women who go running naked in the forest, and everybody's drinking, and it's crazy. And then it sort of turns into, it gets merged with Dionysius, who is a kind of unimportant god, and then he becomes more important, and then it actually becomes later on with like the Renaissance and onwards, there becomes much more importance about Dionysius versus Apollo, these two sort of counterparts. So the myths change over time, but in every myth, the sun plays a part, and it's usually a really important part, and often the most important part. So when you look at Elden Ring, and the sun is, it is there. It does appear in the sky, but it's tiny. I mean, it's actually not tiny. It's basically the size that it looks like in real life. But then when you have like the moon is enormous, then the fact that it's tiny and just looks like it does in real life, and that basically nothing mentions it, is very, very weird. It's very, very weird. And so it's a matter of trying to figure out what's going on there. And all of these things, I mean, okay, stars. So stars are super important. We have astrologers. Imagine you're an astrologer. Your whole culture is defined by the movement of celestial bodies in the sky. And this is where fate is determined. You're dedicated to figuring out what's going on in the sky. And at no point in Elden Ring, this really important faction of astrologers and then the glintstone sorcerers and this whole obsession with the stars and the sky, they don't mention the sun, like this giant thing in the sky, this giant star, if it is a star in Elden Ring. Okay, that's really weird. Light. The two fingers speak a language of light, and we'll get to that in a sec, but the idea of light versus shadow. Okay, like the sun is the source of light. The sun is also, in real life, it's like this burning ball of plasma, of gas, of matter. It's a source of fire. Fire is super important. Okay, the sun is, in almost every mystical tradition, is corresponded with gold, and also with lions. Often mythologically, symbolically represented with lions. Okay, lions, gold. These are pretty important things in Elden Ring. Day and night, like things in Elden Ring happen only at night. Certain things happen only at night. So all of these things, these are all pointing towards this giant hole. Like, why are people not in the universe of Elden Ring? It's not just like, why did Miyazaki not give us some information about it, but why aren't people in the world not talking about the sun? Okay, and L of Music says the Erdtree replaced the sun. Here's the thing. Okay, if we had a game where we only had the Erdtree and there was no sun, I would be prepared to accept it, because I would be saying, okay, Miyazaki is basically in this universe, like, the Erdtree has taken the position of the sun. It's filling that archetypal niche. Whatever the sun is in most mythological systems, like, this is being filled by the Erdtree in Elden Ring. But the thing is, we have the Erdtree and we have the sun, and the sun does dictate things. Like, nighttime happens in Elden Ring because the sun is not there. It doesn't have anything to do with the Erdtree, right? It's the sun sets and then it's nighttime, and nighttime actually has real physical impacts in the game. And there are mentions of the sun, just a few mentions. So it's not like the sun doesn't exist. People do mention it. So to my mind, you can approach this basically one of two ways. The first way is you go, it's a very deliberate choice of Miyazaki that basically the sun is unimportant and that they didn't want to focus on it. And that feels I don't find that likely. The second way to approach it is that the absence of it is significant. That there is some meaning to the fact that we're not getting much information about the sun. That there's something important about this. So that's sort of my starting place, and that's where I'm going here. So there's a bunch of different ways we can go. I guess we'll start with real life sun. Now in the sky, when you actually see the sun in the sky, it's basically white, and the real color of the sun is essentially white. We often think of the sun as yellow, and that's because of the way it goes through the atmosphere. So this is the light wave spectrum. So shorter, faster waves that goes into like violet and then ultimately ultraviolet, which is not visible. Longer, slower waves get down into the warm colors, red, and then ultimately infrared and microwaves, radio waves. So when you have when the sun is up in the sky, you imagine it's passing through one atmosphere, right? So you imagine, like, I don't know exactly how many miles of atmosphere there are directly above you, but you imagine that whatever that is, that's one unit of atmosphere. Now, if you take the sun's position and you move it over to the side, well, now it's passing through a lot more atmosphere, right? So however many miles of atmosphere that light is passing through when it's directly overhead, it's passing through more atmosphere when it's at an angle, when it's down near the horizon. And so as it passes through more atmosphere, these shorter waves get bounced around. So they're all those particles in the atmosphere, these shorter waves bounce around on them, and so they sort of filter out. So all the blue, the violet, all these colors get filtered out, and we're left with just the warmer colors because they're slower and longer, and so they can travel through more atmosphere and still be there. That's why when there's a sunset, things start to get sort of pink and orange and yellow and red. So that's the basic reason. This is a picture from NASA of the sun, but this is only taking into account certain wavelengths. So this is not really what the sun looks like in terms of color. This is just a represent. I mean, it is a picture of it, but it's not a I don't know, accurate picture. It's not a complete picture. Um, okay, so that's just I think an important thing about the color of the sun. The color changes, and I do want to test this because I think this also happens somewhat in Elden Ring. Like we do get a sort of sunset phenomenon where it seems to be more yellow and it seems to be more white when it's up in the sky. I need to check that out to see if that's true, but I think it's. I mean, there is like at least the skybox gets more orangey and stuff, so I think that's meant to evoke the same kind of thing. Okay, so there's only a few items that directly mention the sun. There's a couple things that are more ancillary, but there's a few things that directly mention the sun. The first thing we have, or most of it, is the eclipse. So we have the sun in eclipse, mentioned with the Mausoleum Knights. The Eclipse Chotel, and the spirits at Castle Sol. Oh, and that's another thing I wanted to put in here for later is possibly the importance of the fact that the soul, the name of our sun is Sol, S-O-L, and the relationship between that and soul, as in the spirit, I Love Music says it's frozen in sunset in Farum Azula and it's very golden then. Or wait, no, it's sunrise. I'm not sure what it's meant to be. It's definitely like more on the horizon in Farum Azula rather than up, you know, up above us. But we're also high up. It's kind of hard to tell, and you can't actually see. I do want to look at it with some modding tools to see if there is actually like a circle there, or if it's just sort of light. Because that might be important as well. Definitely the Elden Beast Arena, which I did not. Let me see if I have a good picture of that. And by me, if I have a good picture, I mean does Zlofsky, because Zlofsky has the best pictures. And if no one knows who Zlofsky is, you should go on Twitter and just find they take amazing pictures of probably the best reference pictures for any kind of in-game models and things. I'll just put in the concept art. Pictures, spells. No, where are we? Concept art. Where is Elden Beast? So the Elden Beast one is more clearly, I would say, at something like sunset or sunrise. We can just crop this because I just care about that bit. That is definitely meant to evoke a kind of liminal state. And I wonder if I can also find the menu thing, because the menu one is oh, and Memory of Grace. I need to find that as well. Okay, two things to find. And in the meantime, I will try to remember what I was saying. Is that? What is this? That's just a random gradient. I wonder if they actually have it. So if you open up the menu, there's like a picture of the sun's reflection on the water in the sort of backdrop of the menu. Hold on, I need to scroll through these and see if I can find it. No, where is it? Concept art? No, it's icons, menu. Let's see. That is the clock. Sorry, I know it's not appearing on screen right now. I'm just trying to quickly get to it if I can find it. Not there, not there. Oh, that's it. Okay. SB main menu. Got it. Okay. This one. So this is the sort of backdrop for the main menu. Let's just move to this. And this is very clearly the reflection of the sun on the water, which is also exactly like the Memory of Grace, which looks like the, let me put some black background here. Yeah. So just makes that look a little bit nicer. Okay, so sunrise, sunset. Okay, so where were we? So basically in terms of in-game text that directly references the sun, we have a couple things about the sun in eclipse, the eclipsed sun. And we'll get to what those mean. The only thing that directly references the sun itself, not in terms of the eclipse, is the Sunrealm shield, which is carried by some of the warriors of those who live in death, and also by the beastmen who live in death in Farum Azula, which is odd. And it says that's depicting a city crowned by the sun. Now, Zlowski put this together where you can see this is taken from, I think, some DLC promo image where they just had off to the side like a picture here, but you can also see this screenshot of the buildings from the DLC trailer. I'm not sure if I really buy this, that this is meant to be the same place. Kind of hard to tell. I don't really know that these correspond that well. It is interesting though, because as I think Cosmos pointed out, that like this, by the way, does my mouse appear on screen? I can't tell. Can someone tell me if my mouse appears on screen? Because otherwise I just have to explain more. But anyway, I'm just pointing to this sort of chalice-shaped building, and that there would be something fitting about like the sun fitting into that, and the idea of this being called the seat of the sun. Oh, it does. Good. Okay, so the seat of the sun. So that would be kind of interesting, and then also there's something I don't know, poetic about maybe the sun realm becoming the Shadowlands, the realm of shadow. And especially if we have the idea that like the Erd Tree sort of eclipsed the sun, it sort of took over the role of the sun in the lands between, then its counterpart, the Land of Shadow, is like that's where the sun was supposed to be. So something along those lines. Anyway, that's that. So then we have a bunch of different connections. So the whole importance of day and night. Day and night do play both gameplay and lore roles in the game. So, first of all, we have Farum Azula. So Farum Azula is always at this same. It always has this skybox. It never changes. It never becomes nighttime. You can rest, and it'll say rest until nighttime, but it's still this same skybox. So that's kind of strange. Now, part of you could just say, well, it's stuck in time, so it may not have mean anything specifically about the sun. It may just be, okay, it's stuck inside. It's stuck in time. It might have been that it was stuck in time in nighttime, and then it would just be permanently night there. But it just happens to be in daytime. But maybe there's something more going on there. And there's something at least metaphorically significant, I think, about the fact that this is always in daytime, and if you go down below to the lower realm, to the underground, it's always, I mean, it's always dark because it's underground, but they have a false night sky, so that's kind of significant. Whether it is sort of story significant or not, I don't know. It's definitely sort of poetically significant, especially when you think of like how we have this strange division of three. There's like the mundane realm, the underworld, and the heavens. It's a classic mythical way to represent the world, and you even have the three belfry towers, which one brings you to the Church of Anticipation, which is the mundane realm. One brings you to Farum Azula, which is the heavens. One brings you down to the Nokron, which is the underworld. So, okay, just gonna quickly go through some of this. We have Knights Cavalry. They only appear at night. Now they work for, or they worked for, Morgott. This is more of a side thing, but I thought it's interesting that one of them drops the Ice Spear, Ash of War, which is connected to Ranni. You could just argue that the Knights Cavalry and Morgott himself, he's just scavenged various things from the battlefield. But it is odd because, you know, he has these phantom weapons, which are kind of like the Carian sword sorceries. It's like the gold version of it. And in fact, the sword is a Carian sword, his phantom sword. And that's kind of strange. Also because, like, the other weapons that he summons as phantoms are more Erdtree connected. Like, this is the Tree Spear, this is the Erdtree Dagger. Was used in the war against the Giants. So these are, like, more fitting for him as the Lord of Leyndell, whereas like the Carian sword, that's an odd connection in the fact that it's, you know, the big thing with the Carians is this whole like sword sorcery thing. So that combined with this Ice Spear thing being connected to Ranni is strange because there's no obvious connection I can see between Morgott and Ranni, except, I mean, they were both demigod children, but, you know, different parents, different goals. There's no real mention of them being, having any kind of relationship, to one another, except that, you know, Morgott includes her in the list of traitors, so they're not friendly. And this is also weird. The Knights Cavalry can summon their steeds back. And they are called funeral steeds. I didn't include that here. Or funereal steeds, yeah. I guess we'll just get that. I'll just put that there because funeral steeds is kind of an interesting, I don't know, it's just an interesting description. But it's also strange because they summon their steeds. If you kill the steed, then they'll resummon it with this like purple ring, which is also, now that I think of it, it's the ring inside the ring is also a kind of interesting thing because that's like the two fingers. Maybe I'll just bring a picture of that. What would show that? What has that? I guess the sigil itself would be it. So where is that? There. Probably not related, I would say, or at least not directly related, but kind of an interesting parallel. And purple tends to be connected to gravity magic. It's not quite the sort of bright purple of gravity magic, but yeah, interesting effect there. So, not really sure what to make of that. That's just visually interesting to see. Okay, what else do we have here? We have some stuff about the Eternal Cities, which I haven't really added much to yet, but main thing being that they were waiting for a Lord of Night, and if you were, you know, really big on the night, then you'd probably be opposed to the sun. So that's kind of interesting. Double DZ says looks closer to sleep. Sleep and death related. It's not quite the Saint Trina color either. That's like more of a gentle lilac. I don't have a good picture of the effect there, but I think if I just open up the torch, maybe this is like almost more blue. Well, I'll include this here just for reference at least. Yeah, possibly connected with sleep. All right, see ya, Elden Enthusiast. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so we've got the Eternal Cities. I'm going to add some more stuff there. There is also this, the Shattering Crystal spell, which creates this massive crystal, and some call this sorcery the Crystal Sun. That's really strange. And also, as I was looking at this closer, I realized that the Crystallian spells all have this purple, this indigo quality, which is very similar to the Primeval Current thing. Let me bring up that one. Spells, this one. So you can see there's that thing of indigo in it. We also have the Deathbirds. They only appear at night. One interesting thing about the Deathbirds is that we know that that sort of culture of the death rites and the Deathbirds and the death rite priests is oh, more like the purple of the jails. That's interesting. And the grave violets. That's a good connection, actually. Let me pull up the grave violet. That is an item. And it is crafting. So, where is that? Crafting item. Why am I not finding it? Oh, there we go. This one I'm going to want to put in the text there. So, Brave Violet. That's interesting. An embodiment of hatred. So this is release text, so let's put that in first. And this is... Now, if I remember, that is not exactly what the Japanese says, so let me look at that. I love these automatic English translations. It is said to call the spirit as a flower of spirititis. So that is... Am I right? That's the color of Ghost Flame. Color... Let me just make sure that that is how it's referred to. Yeah, that seems right. Ghost Flame or Spirit Flame. I got spirititis, it's terminal. That does seem to be... That is weird. Okay, wait. I need to put this into DeepL. See what it says. Oops, I didn't mean to get the whole thing. I just want this. Oh, this is flower. That's why I'm getting confused, right? Hana? Yeah. Okay. So it's a flower of Ghost Flame. What is color? Eero. Right, okay. Spirits. What does this mean? Inviting spirits. This must be the... Wait, what is that, an ending? To call out, to summon. Yeah. Okay, so it's a... How would we translate that? I guess I would say... Flower of Ghost Flame. Or let's just do it that way. The Flower of Ghost Flame. It is said to invite spirits. Now, I do need to get into the whole spirit versus soul thing, because this is Um, there's different versions of this, but I think we'll leave it at this for now. And maybe we'll put the Japanese in a different color just to make it clear. Where else did I do Japanese? Here. Okay, well, I'll get to that later. That's fine. Okay, so that's interesting. Ghost Flame, because it is definitely not the color of Ghost Flame. That's what makes it interesting. Let's find the color of Ghost Flame. That would be... We'll just bring in a little spell. Here's Explosive Ghost Flame. So that is a very different color. It's also 5 fingers, which is interesting. Yeah, so the Japanese, I guess, is clear that it's not saying necessarily that this is supposed to be the color of Ghost Flame. It's just a flower of Ghost Flame. Although I guess you could still argue, well, if it's a flower of Ghost Flame, shouldn't it be the color of Ghost Flame? I don't know. But the fact that they're funeral steeds would definitely make the purple connection make sense. And then sleep, you can sort of go by extension. Sleep, yes, sleep is connected to death because it's like a little death. Gravity magic is a bit stranger, so I'm not sure about that. Double DZ says, from those Frog Nation localization interviews a while back, them adding that part about Ghost Flame wouldn't have been a random thing. They work very closely with From to translate ideas and lore. Yeah, I don't know. I generally don't take strong positions on the localization stuff because it really depends on the specific circumstances of how they go about that and how involved the team is and how particular they are about certain ways of saying things. And also there's George R. R. Martin, and he's writing English stuff, and then that's getting translated to Japanese probably. And so it's kind of hard to say, you know, I wouldn't say that this means for sure this wasn't supposed to be the color of Ghost Flame. I'm just saying that it's that way of putting it is not in the Japanese, so that sort of opens that up for speculation. I know the Andres Riquelme says, I know the Black Flame lost its color, but did Ghost Flame lose its color as well? That's we don't know that the Black Flame lost its color. Do we know that? We know that it lost its power. Which one is it? No. Oh, because sometimes they call it Black Flame and sometimes they call it Black Flame. So this is Black Flame. Yeah. The apostles once said to serve destined death. The source of their power was sealed away. I mean, the logic is that Destined Death has black and red flame, or at least a black and red flame SFX. I don't think it does fire damage, and so the idea that the black flame was somehow red at some point, and also because black and white kind of indicates a loss of color, which is important, and that's another thing I'm going to get to over here, I think. So let's just put this in here for now. Oops. there's a whole thing of drained of color because we also have this, the lusterless sun, the eclipsed sun drained of color. So there is something about being drained of color, and that's also going to bring in the, let's see. Let's bring in a couple of these because these are interesting ones. And then the equivalent would be... Wait, which is the equivalent? These two, okay. All these smithing stones. Oh, why does it look so weird? Let's create a little background there. There we go. Okay. So we'll get to that, I think. So there is something about being drained of color. Something about that. Let's do it this way. So you can see the correspondence. Oh wait, no, I screwed it up. This is the wrong one. This should be here. What is this one? Is that this? No, that's the wrong one too. Okay, whatever. I'll get to that. It's not super important right now. But there is something about being drained of color. So we'll get to that. Purple, blue, red. Okay. So we have the Deathbirds. The Deathbirds appear at night. And it is interesting that their culture existed before the Erd Tree. So if the Erd Tree took the place of the sun in some way, which it seems to do at least on a metaphorical level, maybe there is something going on here because, I don't know, there's some relationship between the fact that the Deathbirds were like more active before the Erd Tree, and now there's the Erd Tree, and there's also the sun, and they're not active during the day. So, except for the one on the mountaintop, which is always active. I don't know what to make of that. Okay, then what do we have? This is something I've been meaning to get into for a while, and this is going to be a whole other offshoot here, but the Deathbirds versus the Serpent, because there is this perfect correlation here. They're both about sacrifices. One of them gives you HP, one of them gives you FP. As part of, like, that is what the sacrifice does. It produces something. It is a way of giving you some power. So that's kind of interesting. And I also thought maybe this is, I mean, maybe it's just an axe, but maybe this is also meant to evoke the moon. And there's another thing. The crescent axe, actually. That's another bit of lore that I never followed up on. Where is that? This one. Because that says something about the moon. Yeah. Said to have been spurred by nostalgia. That's an interesting... We're also going to have to do something about the moons. Um, Double DZ says, we see in Gelmir snakes with wings. Are those weapons meant to symbolize two halves of a previous god? That's interesting. Yeah, maybe these are supposed to be one and the same. Maybe the other half of the twin bird is a snake. See if I can get a good picture of that. Those snake statues. Snake statues, where are they? They gotta be, oh, there we go. Yes, interesting. That's an interesting idea. In Dark Souls, the snakes were imperfect dragons. And there's lots of myths with like Quetzalcoatl, you know, it's this winged snake. So that's an interesting idea. Elf Music says, I also suspect that it's a moon being depicted on the god-slaying greatsword, cracking open and spilling out the two plumes. That is interesting. I had not... that did not occur to me. Let me find the god-slaying greatsword. Which part of it do you think is the moon? Like the gem? The obsidian gem? I mean, the obsidian is kind of interesting because you do have like the dark moon. I'll leave that over by the moon section to remind me to look into that, because you also have like the god skin. Let me see the armor. Oh, but they have purple gems, right? That's slightly different. Doesn't someone have black gems somewhere? That's also interesting, the purple, because... Yeah. Yeah, actually, all the Godskin weapons are, like, made out of... I don't know if it's silver or platinum or something else, but it's like a very... It's a very nice sort of shiny metal. They're all made out of the same thing. Let me bring up the other ones. I'll also bring up Trina, because we know that one's silver for sure. So, Godskin Peeler. The other one is a thrusting sword. There we go. Ugh. Why does it have to do that? Okay, so this is definitely silver. That's pretty damn close. These are such beautiful designs. I love these weapons. It's just so, like, intricate. So much stuff going on. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Huh. Oh, Godslayer seal. Thank you, Eamon. That would be... I suppose that's in weapons as well. Seal, seal, seal. Right. Right, right, right. That's interesting. That's very interesting. The Black Moon. This is also such an interesting design, the whole Godslayer thing. As if it's a seed. Yeah, okay. That's a whole tangent that we'll have to go on. What else do we have going on here? Deathbird stuff. Okay, we definitely have something important with this idea of sacrifice. This is an important thing. The heart sings when one draws close to death, and thus does one cling so tenaciously to life to render up a death worth offering. Sacrifices are important. Just comparing these to Deathroot and to the Deathroot-like things that we see in the DLC trailer. This is the whole section of people holding branchy sticks. So these guys, the Deathrite priests, look very similar to this guy. I need a good in-game picture because this concept art doesn't actually look as it's not as clear. But I'll find that later. Because in like Roundtable Hold, for example, he's not just sort of caressing this thing, but he's holding the sort of the branch that's coming up in exactly the same way with the you can kind of see it here with the hands in the same position, looking up in pain in the same way. So definitely a clear connection there. Then you also have these people coming out of trees. So Radagon coming out of the sort of the roots like that. This is a cut. This is not in game, so it's important to mention. But well, it's the same. It's again, I need to find the in-game picture for the bald monk, but it's the same flower type, I think, as the bald monk. So that's kind of interesting. We also have these guys who have this branchy thing. Then we have at the Grand Lift of Rold, they've got these things. And these appear to be like maybe early perfumers, because they've got these like these aprons, you know, and they've got bowls. We know that the Erd Tree's sap that used to be collected. Yeah, basins are placed at the feet of minor Erd Trees. That's for minor Erd Trees, though. But there's all sorts of basins collecting sap and dew everywhere, so... Physic chemists, I'm sort of assuming that these guys are the physic chemists. So there's this idea of doing some sort of magic which involves sacrificing people and trees and collecting goop for magical purposes. And we have the description for the... Is it called the heretical staff? Heretical staff fashioned from a smoldering, withered sapling that turns the blood of sacrifices. So again, the sacrifice theme, pierced by into glintstone. So it turns them into glintstone, and that's kind of interesting. But then we have this whole, I have this whole thing about glintstone here, where you have red glintstone. This is the Erd Tree's amber. The Erd Tree's old sap becomes amber. We have different colors of amber. We have the Carrion Night Sword, which has glintstone, but then the Mictlan Night Sword uses amber from the Haligtree, and that's sort of green and orange. We have the Prince of Death staff uses amber instead of glintstone. We've got lots of different colors of glintstone. So basically, the point of all this, and there's also meteoric ore, which very similar, though maybe slightly different. There's might be more of a difference here, but at least amber and glintstone, I think, are basically the same thing. And Sellen says this thing: glintstone is the amber of the cosmos. Golden amber contains the remnants of ancient life and houses its vitality, while glintstone contains residual life and thus the vitality of the stars. She's basically saying that they're essentially the same kind of thing. They're all amber of some type, although there are some differences. For example, the Prince of Death staff channels faith, as well as intelligence. Also nice Caduceus design there. But basically, some sort of crystallized life essence, which is created, at least in some cases, possibly all cases indirectly, through some sort of sacrifice. So whether it's coming from killing people directly and like doing some sort of magical ritual, or it's just coming from the stars sort of crystallizing, starlight crystallizing, that there is this, you get this crystallized life essence, which you can then use for magical power. This is the amber egg. So golden amber, red amber, green amber, blue amber, it's all basically equivalent. Interchangeable in many ways. How is this related to the sun? Yeah, so this is a little bit going off course. There's a few ways it connects. Basically, one thing I'm exploring here is just day and night and how day and night figures into things. So as part of that, I'm looking at the death birds and then connecting all this stuff to that. But then this also, glintstone connects to stars. Because if the eclipsed sun is a star, and it is called a star in this shield, it's called the protective star of soulless demigods. So if the eclipsed sun is a star, it's reasonable to assume that the normal sun is also a star. So if we imagine that, glintstone contains residual life and thus the vitality of the stars, then, well, if the sun is a star, so shouldn't the sun produce glintstone? Then we have some other things. This I haven't really filled in yet. So the polar star is this 8-pointed star, and it's depicted in gold, which is kind of interesting. Actually, this is also sort of interesting, the idea that it protects you from frost because the sun is warm. Huh. Can you look at the Haligtree Night Sword and the Godslayer Greatsword together? Sure. Let's find that. Where was it? Let's just duplicate that and bring it down there. I see what you mean. There is a similarity there. Yeah, this sort of swirly circle pattern. I don't know if it's significant, really. Why is the sun the only star we can see in the day? Yeah, I mean, mythologically, the sun is not a star, right? Um, in any kind of myth or mystical tradition, like the sun is something different from stars. So you could look at Elden Ring and say that that's not the case. But the fact that the eclipsed sun is a star kind of indicates that, well, at least one type of sun is a star. So that's why this might be important. And the Greater Will sent a golden star into the lands between. So, if the sun was a golden star, um, that would be interesting. Oh, then we also have this thing at night. Yeah, so this is one of the weirdest things, right? So the eclipsed sun, drained of colors, the protective star of soulless demigods. It aids the excuse me. It aids the Mausoleum Knights by keeping destined death at bay. So the eclipsed sun, drained of color, keeps destined death at bay. Why? That's a question. This means that if the sun is not eclipsed, destined death is not kept at bay. I think that's just pretty logical. So, since we never see the eclipse, the sun is not eclipsed, that means that destined death is not kept at bay. So, I mean, I don't know how else to interpret that. These guys, the guys on the crucifixes, scream only at night. So maybe during the day their destined death is killing them. And then at night, destined death is not there. It's kept at bay because the sun is not visible. And so then they start screaming because they're like alive when they should be dead. Not sure. That's kind of weird. A lot of them are guilty. I think not all of them. I guess these guys also have like some kind of thorns, but they're all smoldering, which is strange. The guilty thing connects with Stormveil, and this is another odd thing because this Mareta, Mushibamu is like this. It's the word for eclipsing, but it comes from the words for like bugs eating things. And so in the context of the marred wooden leather shield, it's translated as marred, much like the castle marred by mottling and thorns. But it's the same word that's used for this, for the eclipsed sun. So you could say it's the marred sun. The sun is being marred in the same way that these shields and Stormveil itself is marred. So all of these thorns and things like this, whatever is going on here is somehow equivalent to the eclipse. I put this in here for good measure because Cosmos pointed out that it's weird that the Forge has these like chunks in it, and it's kind of similar to the way that Stormveil has these bits. Don't know what to make out of that, except for the idea that maybe the Fell God lives inside the sun, which is pretty schizo theory. And that's basically where I'm at now. So, okay, let me just read some comments and then I'm going to start putting in some more stuff. So, if Mikla wants to summon the eclipse in the Lands of Shadow, there must be something there avoiding destined death that he wants to return. A fled god, perhaps? Um, I don't know if he wants to summon the eclipse in the Lands of Shadow. In Castle Sol, let me see, what do the spirits say? The sun has not been swallowed. And he even said, yeah, this guy even says swallowed, so that fits perfectly with this eaten by bugs thing. Um, your comrade remains soulless. So, if the sun were swallowed, the comrade would not be soulless. It would grant life to the soulless bones. So, swallowing the sun, marring it, would give a soulless person a soul. And that's why it keeps destined death at bay. I don't get that. I don't get that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this stuff. This is maybe the most interesting thing. So there's this mention of sunlight. The silver fireflies are found near bodies of cold water untouched by sunlight. The gold ones are found by bodies of water close to minor Erd trees. This idea of coldness as well. We have the Erd tree was once as warm as the gentle sun. It uses FP to generate warmth, the warming stone. And that's actually the thing that heals you is the warmth. So it's like the warmth of the sun is what heals you. And now we have this frigid sun of soul. Why? If we accept that... What the heck? Where did I go? Okay. I wonder if that's... I'm just going to put this here as a possibility that... oops. Because coldness, that also is kind of interesting in regards to the... stop moving me so far away. Where am I? In regards to the Deathbirds and Ghost Flame. Ghost Flame is cold. So the night is cold. Ghost Flame is cold. The Erd tree is warm, like the sun is warm. Warmth is associated with sunlight and healing you. A warm sun gives vitality, while a cold gives mind, soul. Ronnie's moon is cold, so the eclipse could be the moon. The coldness of the moon hiding the sun. So it is lunar power eclipsing solar power. Well, I mean, the thing is, in terms of what we get, because we never see an eclipse in game, so we don't know. We don't know if the eclipse is... I mean, in real life, an eclipse, like a solar eclipse, is when the moon passes in front of the sun. But this is Elden Ring. We don't know if that's how this works. And in Elden Ring, like the moon is way bigger than the sun. V Limit did a good video just looking at the eclipse, and um, there is no like their paths never cross. The sun basically goes along a kind of north by northeast to south by southwest path, I think. Um, the moon is always in the same place, um, so they never cross paths. They can both be in the sky at the same time, I think. Look at the DLC trailer's last frame again also. Yeah, that's a good point, because that is a drained of color thing. Where did I put that? Um, this one. Because this compared to... where's the earlier one? Compared to this one, here it's like gold up in the sky. Then it becomes colorless. So let's add that to the color bit. Yeah, so it's definitely... That's kind of strange because it looks like here the veil is keeping this part gold, whereas here the veil is lifted and like the sun is shining through and that's making it colorless. I don't get that. If the Erd Tree replaced the sun, then that could explain why there are no more eclipses. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly right to say the Erd Tree replaced the sun, because the sun is still there. So you have to figure out, like, well, in what way did it replace the sun? What else talks about color or colorless? Isn't that used? Colorless? I thought colorless was a thing. Colorless black flame, is that what it's called? Or is that really never said? The moon can't pass in front of the Erd Tree. It's also strange because with Radagon and Renala, then the moon and the Erd Tree, the order of the tree and the moon, the fate of the moon, were conjoined. Sordier says, maybe the eclipse squeezes out the vitality slash color of the sun, allowing one to usurp that power to keep destined death at bay. This could be what the dripping in the Eclipse Great Shield depicts. Squeezes out the vitality of the sun. I guess it's just confusing because the sun is here and there's no eclipse. So whatever the eclipse is supposed to do, it's not. And it hasn't as far as we know. So um okay, drained of color. I think it's just these. Am I wrong? I thought there was something that said colorless, like the colorless black flame. Am I wrong about that? Black flame tornado. Queen's black flame. Black flame is weighty. Black fire within. Here's another interesting thing. So this is, I don't know how related this is to the sun, but because I didn't talk about this bit, I was going to do something just on light. The black flame incantation that you do to yourself, which is black flame's protection. This one. This impairs your sacred flasks. Another thing which does that is the winged scythe, which happens because you imbue the blade with light. The white wings impede recovery actions using a flask of tears. And actually, I need to put in the other description of that. Winged scythe. Because that's also a weird thing. According to pagan belief, white-winged maidens are said to be death's gentle envoys. I think we should also add the Albinaurics with regards to the sun lore. Albinaurics are creatures made out of pure silver, thus they are imperfect beings. Sun/gold might be the key to complete them. Yes. Yeah, Albinauric, the name means white gold. Albino aurum is white gold. That word is kind of a, I guess, a double entendre, because in Japanese, let me see if I can find, what's something that talks about the Albinaurics? Maybe the, yeah, Albinauric mask. Okay. So here, see, they spell it out in kana, but this word shirogane, shirogane is, shiro is white, and gane is gold, essentially. So now this is the kanji that you use for silver, but another way to write it is like this. That's the kanji for white and the kanji for gold. Now, as far as I know, this kanji is never used. So it means silver, but it has this sort of double meaning. This is like the older, I think it's derived from the Chinese way of referring to the metals, where like all the metals are kind of called different versions of gold, where gold doesn't just mean gold, it means just like any metal. I mean, this character doesn't just mean gold, it means any metal. And so there's like the white gold, there's also the red gold. So if we look up the Japanese for copper, it's this do, but the older way of writing it is red gold, akagane. And this is actually what's used in the regalia of Eocade when it talks about the copper coloration. The reason that they translate it as like copper coloration because when it's trying to get across this point of that there's this ambiguity of using this older strange version of the word for copper. They don't use this kanji. So the fact that they use shirogane and they don't use the kanji either, so they're sort of leaving it because shirogane is silver, but they're sort of leaving it a little bit open. So I think the word albinoric is meant to sort of get that point across where it's white gold, but it's just a way of communicating that sort of ambiguity of the words. Because in Japanese there is a lot of like words can sort of mean different things. It's very contextual and very fluid. So it's a way of getting that point across. So I wouldn't say that albinorics are white gold or that they're platinum or anything like that. They're definitely made from silver. That is directly stated. It is, yeah, blue silver is a metal born from the same mother as the archers themselves. Is that what I was thinking of? Isn't there something that says it even more clearly? That's a really weird way to put it. Is that right? Did they change that? Armor. Let's see. Albinoric set. No, not this one. The other one. Blue silver is a metal born from the same mother as the archers themselves. I thought there was something even more clear. Yeah, I would just I would I would not say anything authoritative about like the albinorics being made of something particular because also like the metals don't mean what they mean in real life. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's put this over here. But it is interesting with the albinorics because the albinoric pot also has this same effect of where is that one? Pot. This one. Where is that? So this also impedes healing when you use your flask. And it looks like it's made from the skin, maybe, of an Albinauric? Like, I think that's Albinauric blood, and that's like a black dumpling, and sort of bits of red and something going on there. It's like bits of Albinaurics, ground up Albinaurics inside. And for some reason that impedes recovery actions with your flask, which is strange. Like, what is the common thread here? And there is something about, what does it say about, like, their innate arcaneness? Arcaneness, there we go. The Albinaurics harbor a secret. They cast sorcery using their innate arcaneness. That's also strange. What's going on there? You use their blood to craft it? Oh yeah, right. So what do you make the Albinauric pot out of? Mushroom, that's for all the pots, right? Ritual pot and Albinauric blood clot. Yeah. And we'll just put that in there because that's a good description. Albinauric stuff. So what's the connection between these things though? Like why? Death's gentle envoys. White-winged maidens. Albinauric mask? Yes, thank you. Albinauric mask also does that. Let me bring that up. Where is it? And these guys don't cast sorceries, do they? Do the second generation Albinaurics use magic? I know they have like a frost breath attack, right? Um Yeah, what is going on there? They can cast the Discus of Light. Right. Right. Frost breath and Discus. Is that it? Is it just with the weapons? How do they cast the frost breath? Because that's also interesting. They're cold, right? Albinauric second generation. That's not going to get me what I want. Maybe I have, it's from their mouth. Yeah, okay. Oh, thank you. Titan point made a good point. the Black Flame one just impairs. Whereas these ones impede. And that actually does mean something different, because with the Albinauric one and the Winged Scythe, you literally can't use your flasks, whereas the Black Flame one, it is impaired. And Melania's Rune. Is that an item? That's a weird one. Stop it. Weird thing about Black Flame protection, it makes it so you can walk faster in the Haligtree Scarlet Swamp. Am I right in that New Game Plus that doesn't slow you down? Is that true? I feel like I saw that, and that's such a weird little quality of life change. Okay, where's Melania's? This is Melania's. Let's give that a nice black background. Okay. Thank you, John Voices. The blessing of this half-rotted Brune. It doesn't say that it's due to the fact that it's half-rotted. It just, I mean, I guess you could say it implies that from how it's phrased, but that is all. I mean, the only reason that I would put this one in relation to it is because of the wings, right? Here we have white wings and all this stuff about Valkyries and all of that kind of stuff. So that would kind of imply a thematic connection, potentially. Also, wings being winged maidens. It's weird, winged maidens, because then that also makes me think of this. Did these used to be little girls? I feel like that feels like a Miyazaki sort of thing to do. They are weirdly humanoid. They don't really look like, I mean, they've got like a bird skull, but they have like a horse tail. It's so strange. Very Crucible vibes from them. But like, this is a human torso. Oh yeah, Eamon points out a good point. We do know that rot is the cycle of death and rebirth in practice, so there is a connection to death. It isn't just... Maybe Scarlet Valkyrie is like the rebirth version, and White winged maidens are like the death version. Maybe we should also bring in the twin bird. Let's see, where is that? Twin bird kite shield. We'll put that in here. Mother of the death birds. On the Briar set near the neck, there are medallions with a horse with wings and a lady with a sword with wings. Is that what it is? I'm not sure if I agree that that's what they're depicting. I think one of them is like St. George slaying the dragon. Let me see it. Does this have a close-up? That's kind of hard to tell. To me, that looks very much like a St. George kind of thing, even though I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at there. But like, let's see, St. George slaying the dragon. Where's the famous painting? I mean, there's lots of famous ones, but this is sort of the vibes I was getting from it. But there's actually two medallions, so only one of them is here. Where's the other one? Why do I not see Elemer? I guess it's time to search through Zlowski material. Elemer. Oh, that hunter. Different hunter. Dang it. I think I have it on my phone. Let me see if I can pull it up there. What was that? The fourth finger on the Briar set is soaked in blood? Let me pull that back up. Those are some chunky gloves. This I was sort of speculating is the Glomide Queen. Because I think these are snakes in the hair. She's got like a snake thing going on. Let me see if I can send it to myself. Do I not have a close-up of these? I thought for sure I had a close-up of the medallions. I'm not finding it, though. There's a couple of them. I think it alternates between this and another one. You can't really see it here. There's also the lion medallions, but there's two here around his neck. I can't remember exactly what the other one is like. John Voices says, Eochaid is specifically said to be vanished and not destroyed or far away. I wonder if it's an area that we'll visit in the Shadowlands. Yes, I have speculated that the Shadowlands will either be um, either Eocade will be there, or it will definitely be a culture related to Eocade. We have lion symbolism, we have snakes, we have thorns, we have all sorts of crucible related stuff, and Eocade seems to be related to that. And also the idea of this more older culture, sort of Greco-Roman sort of design. I think that's definitely there in the DLC trailer. So everything is speculated to be the GQ. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's easy to kind of put her into the holes that don't make sense. But I think there's a demonic lady with snakes in her hair. I feel like that feels very GEQ coded. Any thoughts on the in-game clock? Well, let's pull it up because there is a depiction of the sun, so that's relevant. That would be in menu. Where is it? In-game clock, in-game clock. Is it not in menu? Oh, there we go. So let's see. So first let's take a look at this one. What is this central thing? What's going on there? What is all this design happening in the middle? Kind of interested that we have 6 pointed stars, not 8. Sun is 8 pointed. As is the, at least, you could argue that this is 8 pointed with 8 extra points inside. This one's hard to tell. Where do we go? Back here. Creepy moon. Kind of weird that you have like the moon inside the moon. The moon inside the moon. The inverse moon. The inner moon and the outer moon. That actually is kind of... That's kind of what I was talking about with the two moons. One of them's the inner moon, one of them's the outer moon. Probably just a coincidence. Anything else going on here? This seems like pretty generic imagery, to be honest. I don't think any of it's super important, at least on this part. Like, I don't think this castle is a representation of a particular castle. I don't think it's Leyndell or anything like that. I think maybe it is interesting, though, the colors. I mean, part of it is just to represent the passage of time here so that it's clear what part of the day you're at. But the idea of the sunset becoming red, I mean, that is what happens in a sunset, but like they really went in that direction. And then maybe the sunrise being more white. pure unalloyed gold. Okay, interesting. This is also kind of interesting because I think someone speculated that this kind of looks like a comet. It's got like the tail. Quelaag was talking about this symbol. I don't know if I would read into any of that too much, but sort of, yeah, the storm at the center of time, that could be. Yeah, I don't know if I would read into any of this too much. This looks like a lot of alchemical, like medieval alchemy sort of images. They have weird faces on the sun. Like, am I thinking of the right one? There was actually a book by a guy named Altus. The Mutus Liber, and where's the actual like pictures of it? There's always like weird faces and things. To me, it's just more of this kind of. It's just inspired by this kind of style. I don't know if it's meant to represent anything in particular. Yeah, if you look at alchemical, like, I don't know, probably the Ripley scroll has some things like that. There we go. Weird faces on the sun, and um, lots of like weird cartoonish imagery. Uh, you find that all over alchemical imagery. So yeah, I just think it's basically just that rather than anything specific. Um, two moons. Yeah, and I also wouldn't like the two moons. There's a sun. There's another sun here. I think this is just meant to represent being a clock. I don't think it means anything else. Which face do you trust more? Um, all right, let's look at the sun one again. Actually, let's just duplicate this. Let's look at them side by side. Damn, they're both pretty. I feel like I'd have a much more fun time with the moon, you know? I feel like I could have a real party with this moon guy. Sun guy, I don't know what's going on with him. He has some problems. Moon guy, he's got a sense of humor at least. Okay, let's see. What else are we on? Soul and soul. That's a whole Japanese translation thing I'm going to get into. I do want to explore this idea of the sun being the crucible some more. So I guess let's look up crucible stuff. Um, hmm. So that's one thing. Let's first of all just say root. Oh my god. Okay, and we'll make this. Okay. What else do we have about the crucible? That's kind of interesting. So, holds the power of the Crucible of Life. This thing, the strength of these knights, and even their appearance, was seen as chaotic and deserving of scorn. Yeah, the old version of the Crucible armor is interesting. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Put that there. Because in the 1.0 it seems to say the power of life's crucible coursed through the Erd tree. It's more like it's a liquid. So yeah, it's not veins exactly, but conduits. It is kind of well, let's get a picture of it because I can see how you'd think they're veins. Oh, hold on. There's the Elimer. I just had that right there. That's the St. George and the Dragon one that I was thinking of on the left. This one, I guess that does kind of look like a winged. I don't know what's going on there. Is it the maiden who's winged? But what's that stuff behind them? This kind of gives me like a Hermes vibe as well. I'm not sure about that one. But I'll put that up there just as a reference so I can see it again. Next to all this light stuff. Light and wings. Let's just move this out of the way a little bit. Yeah, interesting one. Is that the thing that's always behind Marika? Oh, you mean this? Like her swirly gown thing? I don't think so. I think that's a bit too much of a stretch. But comparing it with the shield, actually, there is kind of a similarity. Where was that? Um, because that is a bit. Just all this swirly stuff going on. I don't know. Up? The snake wing-like thing behind the figure? I mean, to me, this looks like a pair of wings behind this character. I would say it looks like they belong to the character, kind of, although the angle's a bit strange. But then I don't really know what to make of it because there's all this extra swirly stuff behind that. So it's kind of hard to see it clearly. America's first statue at the beginning. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't really see it. Let me see if I have a picture of her somewhere. That would be in. What would that be in? Concept art would probably have it. Like this thing. Here it's clearly just her dress. In the statues, it's like there's a lot more going on, but nascent butterfly wings. I mean, yeah, I'm hesitant to like read too much into this little talisman because again, once you get into more like medieval inspired things, when it's just these uh, little artistic embellishments, like I'm not sure how important that is. Um, Welcome, Jack. Thank you. Um, so we're on the Crucible, and right, I was just gonna see what else. There's the incantations, but is there any other armor? Oh my god, there's so much Crucible armor, Crucible armor, Crucible armor. Boom, 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 boom. No, just the Godskins. So then there's the incantations. So let's look at that. Oh god, yeah, then there's the Flower Crucible. And that calls down a deluge of light. Hmm. And the thing about this object, so I don't know if you know about this, but okay, let me just grab this first and put it in so that I can. We're going to put that in the light section. It's related. Okay. And let's get a little image of that so everybody can see it. That is an item. Miranda's Prayer. Miranda's Prayer. There's a lot of items in the files that are cut. Kind of interesting. This one. Okay, here's the thing about this item. So it is cut content, but, but, um, mm, okay, so first of all, this is weird that Melina does this move. She creates this golden spectral tree, which kind of looks like. Okay, okay. This is, I hope, unrelated. Although actually, I do think we need a section on lightning at some point. So I'll just put that here. Because in Dark Souls, lightning is solar. It's connected to the sun. And time. That's a lot. But let's just pull up a couple images to look at really quick. Screenshots. So the first of these is the move that Placidusax does, the nuke. Um, and then this is especially with this like weird line in the middle. Like that seems a little bit too close to be a coincidence. And then when Melina does this thing, like you look at the way the Erdtree, it's not, I don't know what it is, whatever her move is, where she creates this tree. They're like the way the branches are coming out, it's like lightning. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know what to make of that. But the nuke move, like, um, let's see it. Here we go. Okay, so he puts this thing in, puts this bolt in the ground, and then that's such a weird, like, specific visual. And then comparing that to when Melina sacrifices herself, and there's this weird line in the sky, and you see it exactly the same way. I don't know, that could just be visual similarity, but I feel like there is something more going on there. And like lightning and light and dragons. So, yeah, that's a whole nother thing, which I don't even know how to get into. But anyway, I was getting distracted. I was going to go find, let's see, Melina. Is she ever going to do her? There we go. That's it. So, that move that she does, she uses the Miranda's prayer. She uses that item. And in fact, I'll just play that again so it's clear. So she does that. She does that movement. And she can do that when you summon her from Morgott. And the Elden Ring gameplay trailer, which this was just before the game came out. It was right before, like, let's see. When did this, no wait. June 10th, 2021? No. Is this what I'm thinking of? What was the one that came out in like, it was literally February, I think. Oh, the launch trailer, maybe. Yeah. This is the one I'm thinking of. So, this is February 22. It launched the 25th. Now, obviously, the trailer was made before the 22nd, but where is it? Right there. So this is just like a player character fighting Grail, and they're using the Miranda's Prayer item. That's what happens. And in fact, if you cheat code to get the Miranda's Prayer item, it's totally functional in the game. It's not like glitched out or anything. Like it just works. All the data's still there. I don't know if every single aspect of it works, but like the animation works, all of that stuff happens. So this item was removed super late in development. And it even has, like, that's so weird that it has an older version. It has a 1.0 version and a revised version, even though it wasn't included in retail. And it says the Flower Crucible. That is weird. But again, pillars of light. Something about light. Light is important. Light and shadow. Melina and Miranda sound very similar in Japanese. Merina. Not really. They're they're all different characters. Merina versus Miranda. Miranda. You know what do sound similar in Japanese is Marika and Malekith. Because it's Marika versus Marikesu. So the first two syllables are the same. Okay, Crucible. Crucible, Crucible, Crucible. What else is going on with the Crucible? Maybe we got it in the DLC, the Miranda Prayers. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder. You know what this also reminds me of is that weird little imp. Does everybody know about the weird little imp? If you haven't seen the little imp boy, let me find him. I don't even know how to look this up. Erd tree door. Oh, there it is. First one. Has everybody seen this little imp? The greatest character in all of Elden Ring. Um, on the inside of the when you walk inside, so this is the one on the left here is the outside sigil on the Erdtree door. And then once you go inside, this is the inverse part of it. If you look back, and there's this little guy here. This mischievous little imp with a tree growing out of his head. The true hero of Elden Ring. This is also just like, what the heck is going on with this sigil? There's a tree with roots. There's the Elden Ring. But then there's also like a tiny little tree, and then there's something else tree thing coming out of it. I don't understand this one. That's what, maybe that's a lightning thing. I don't know. This looks more like roots. Do I have a picture of the Farum ring? Let's see. That might be good to compare. This is like kind of not related to the sun anymore, at least. If it is, I don't know how, but where would I have a picture of that? I guess there's the concept art version. Farum. Oops. Hmm. I need a real picture. Um, I should have someone somewhere, but I don't know where I would have put it. Screenshots. No. Huh. This is kind of a funny one. That's a fun idea. Um, maybe? It's not really close enough. This one is like more angular almost. Um, Crunchy, do the Japanese characters for Miranda seem anything like Melania? No, those are all. I mean, in Japanese, there's no difference between R and L, but the vowels are all different. So vowels, mi and ma and meh are all different things. Um, the first Elden Lord, yeah, yeah. This is the true first Elden Lord. This is the Empyrean. John Voices says, it seems clear that to create any type of tree at all, a sacrifice needs to be made. Whether it's one person or many people, there needs to be a sacrifice of flesh and blood. That just reminded me of something I wanted to point out. Again, we're getting pretty far off the sun thing, but maybe I'll be able to tie it back in eventually. So let me open up where's I must have a video somewhere. Damn, I need to find, okay, I'll just look up here. Um, Come on, let me just see a picture of your, come on. I need a good close-up of these things. Where would I find one? Where would I find one? Where would I find one? Okay, well, in the meantime, let's just get a picture of the Erd tree in general. I'm sure Zlowski has something decent. Oh, that's a great picture of Melina's Erd tree. Let's put that in here. That's really cool looking, actually. The tree of pure light, which is kind of what we see maybe on top of the real tree. Something like that. The basic what I wanted to get to is if when you die, you drop runes, and your runes look like little spectral golden trees. If you use a sacrificial twig, then your runes don't drop. The twig breaks instead. And when Melina dies, she creates this. So my feeling is the Erd Tree, like the spectral part, that must be the result of something dying. It must be some sacrifice. Um hmm. Sacrifice. Sacrifice. Where's the sacrificial twig? Oh, that's a talisman. Talisman. Is that what the sacrificial twig looks like? Hmm. That's interesting. It's got the little twisty bit. I never even noticed that. Um. Interesting. If the golden tree was born in the Land of Shadow, then we might get hints as to who died to create it in the DLC. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if the Erd tree, like the tree, was born in the Land of Shadow, or if it's the golden part that was born there. It's strange that Melina doesn't cast a flame spell at the tree. She simply wills it and the tree burns. Um yeah, it also seems like she's taking something from you in order to do it. So like yeah, there we go. So you take her hand, then cutscene. And you just zonk out. Sorry. Um yeah, it's interesting also because like why she's doing all the work here. Why couldn't she have just done this? Why couldn't she have done this before? Why did she need us at all? She's the kindling. But Enya says that you need someone to envision flame or something. Yes. No, but for the flame to burn the Erd tree, a sacrifice is needed of one who envisions the flame. That seems like it's Melina that is the one who's envisioning the flame. Huh. Why does she need us? She's doing all the stuff here. Or like we go to sleep and then she like looks at the flame and she takes it and then she sort of sets her arms out and the Erd tree goes on fire. for guiding me here. Thank you for guiding me here. Thank you for guiding me here. Why did we guide her there? Why can't she move on her own? Because when we go to the Erd tree, she says something about something about footsteps. No, not footsteps. What does she say? I can govern my own. Yeah, here I can govern my own movement, and thus the accord is fulfilled. So when you get to the base of the Erd tree, Melon is like, okay, I don't need you anymore, essentially. Right, our accord was you bring me to the base of the Erd tree and I'll help you level up. So here's the ability to level up now that we fulfilled our contract. So why did she needed to be guided here? What was our purpose? Why, as soon as you, I mean, she just like teleports. Like, why couldn't she just teleport to the? Why couldn't she just teleport to the Forge of the Giants? Or is it the fire giant? Like, but what would the fire giant do? Like, she's just like a spirit. Well, the fire giant needs to be dead for her to do this. Um, Let me read some comments. Everything related to sacrifice and ritualistic death is shaped like the lamp wood / the spear the man in the trailer is impaled with. That's actually a good thing to add to this whole branch section over here. Let's move this over here. Branch. The guy. Where's the guy with his selected frames? That'll do. Where is he? Where is he? Here we go. That's also interesting because this thing looks like it looks sort of crystallized. It looks like it's made of amber. I don't know what's going on there. Branch stuff. Then we also have the candle tree wooden shield. That's not a bad thing to add in here. Where is that candle tree shield? I'll put in the description for that one because... Oh, and then we also have the giants. The impaled giants, the sword things, the sword thorns. Yeah. Let's put that in. Because that also, they've got 5 things on top, and this is 5 fingers at the bottom. It's kind of interesting. Wonder if this would make more sense if I go this way. Maybe. Everything related to sacrifice is branched. Yeah, I mean, the basic idea of a tree, it also connects with the idea that the Erd tree stores memories. The remembrances are hewn into the tree. You make a sacrifice for your dream, and that gets saved as a memory in the form of a tree. Why was Melina imprisoned in an underground room guarded by a Murray executioner? I don't know. The whole thing with the kindling maiden. Did she already kindle something? Because she's like burnt. That would seem to be the implication. She already burnt something. But what? Flame of ambition. If the bald man was actually Melina this whole time, yeah, that would be an interesting. Marika's dad. I don't know about that. Do you think Melina can get past the fire giant by herself? I mean, I don't see why not. Does she travel normally, you know? Um, to your earlier point about Marika being dead physically and spiritually, it is interesting that we almost pass into another dimension when entering the Erd tree. Yeah. Yeah, we pass through light. Let's just have the intro. Yeah. Okay, stop buffing, bro. There we go. I mean, I don't know how much to read into that because it's just like it's a transition to hide the stuff being loaded in. Although there is that effect. Yeah, it is like you're warping there. Like in this shot, in the far shot, that's you warping in, right? So that's you warping next to Marika. Um Assailant was asking about why Lendell is already filled with ash. The I don't know. I like Tarnished Archaeologist's idea of an earlier burning because then that would line up with my idea that like the spectral golden carapace on the Erd tree is it's like here's a great analogy. It's like a snake skin. It's the dead husk that the Erd tree died, and the golden carapace is like the spiritual skin on top of it. So yeah, if it was burned, that would kind of make sense. I'm not totally convinced, and I also don't know. I feel like something has to explain why there is not a second tree, because let me see, do I have a picture here? Haligtree. Okay. Haligtree, 2 trunks. One of them completely dead. Why? And then the Shadow of the Erdtree, 2 trunks. So why does our normal Erdtree, why is it only 1? Something has to explain that. It's a lot of ash. I mean, I think you could kind of get away with it just by saying that maybe the Erdtree is... You could maybe say it's the war with the dragons. Grandsax attacked. I mean, they left Grandsax's body there, so they'd never clean that up. It's a little weird because the war with the dragons had to have happened before the dragon cult was formed. Godwyn was alive. It was before the Night of the Black Knives, before the Shattering War. So the idea that, like, you're just going to leave all of that dust there for, who knows, centuries, maybe millennia, that seems a bit unlikely. So, a couple people in chat were talking about how light is time. That was in Dark Souls 3. In Dark Souls 3, the repair sorcery said light is time. Look at that. It's already up there. Light is time. And that was Ulasil, was all about light magic. Bilbo Baggins says, you know, I felt sane before this game existed. That's, yes, that is an apt way to put it. Luke Christensen says, I like the Erdtree burned once before theory. My only question, though, if the current tree is an illusion, then why does it burn into more ash? I don't think the current Erdtree is an illusion. I think that part of the theory I don't agree with at all. I think clearly it's real. It's just a different kind of real. It's a tree of light. You know, it's made of something. I mean, there is a real tree underneath it, right? So there is the tree there. And then underneath it, or rather, there's like the real physical barky tree, and then there's the actually, maybe, do I have a picture to demonstrate that? I might have something. Okay, well, terrible picture because it's not about that, but on this part, that's the gold light part. This is the bark. So there's 2 different things going on here. I don't think the gold part is an illusion. I don't think it's fake. I don't think it just exists in people's minds. I think it's a real thing. It's more like a... I think the snake skin analogy is a good way to put it. It's like... It's just a layer. It's a layer on top. Right. The golden seed description, I guess that's the where this is coming from. So let's look at that. A golden seed found at the base of an illusory tree. Yeah, interesting. Found at the root. Where was it? Phantom. I don't think this means it's fake. Um, yeah, I just think you can say like it's an illusion. When you say an illusion, like you think of like an optical illusion or something where you're seeing something that's not really there. Like when the road's really hot and it looks like water's there or something. You see an oasis. That's an illusion, right? Where it's not actually real. But I don't think that's the case here. Like I don't think it I don't think even the little golden trees aren't real. Um like maybe their kind of reality is different than the physical tree, but I don't think it's just a trick of the light. Um, or if it is a trick of the light, light is magically powerful in this universe. So incorporeal, yeah, it might be. I mean, but I'm also fine with that. I could say it's maybe incorporeal, but that there's some other kind of incorporeal layer of reality that is just as real as the corporeal layer. I mean, all this stuff like I don't think um like Melena's tree. This tree is I think you could say this is also a phantom tree or an illusory tree, but it actually heals you. Like it actually does stuff. So like I think the Erd tree does stuff. It functions. It's not just all in people's heads. It's not just a matter of, you know, people think that there's something there, but there isn't. Um, I think it's a manifestation like Godfrey or fake Moog, whatever that means. Yeah, I think the Godfrey example is a good way to think about it, right? The Godfrey Phantom, like that is you could say that's an illusion or it's a phantom, the Golden Godfrey fight. But like, well, he can actually kill you, like he can do things. So I just think it's not a matter of it being like the illusion part. I think is misleading. There's also the spiritual trees you see in the mountaintop of the giants. See that to me is like that's actually a good example of the difference because those like you can't interact with them. They don't seem to have any relationship with the real world. Those I would be more comfortable saying are just like pure illusions. Um, like even those little golden illusory trees, as they're called, that you get the golden seeds at. I think they have like they have uh what do you call it? Damn, my mind is drawing a blank. They have collision geometry, right? So you can't just walk through them. Um, in our journey, we have to then break through the inner seal that's sealed by Radigan's thorns. Yeah, this seal thing is very weird. I would love to know what to make of this. Where did it? Because it's so suggestive with this idea of correspondence and multiple layers of reality, but I don't like if this was the picture alone, if it was just the Elden Ring being below this tree, then I get it. I get the metaphor, right? The Elden Ring is the root of the Golden Order. The Erd Tree is the heart of the Golden Order, or it is the Golden Order. I get that. But then you have this like tiny little tree coming out of it, and then there's like this weird root lightning thing coming out of that. So I don't get that. The interesting thing about the sun to me is that the game seems to have its cake and eat it too when it comes to cosmology. Given what we know of the stars, I doubt there are other planets in the setting, but then all the primeval current BS describes real world celestial phenomena. Yeah. No, I can't believe that the sun is unimportant. I can't believe that. It's too weird. It's just too strange. Everything else is pointing to it being one of the most important things in this cosmology. Um, it doesn't make sense for it not to be important. It's a source of light, of warmth. The Erd Tree was like the sun. It's a star. I mean, all of these things, like it just can't be meaningless. I hope this relief isn't just some design they scanned from real life because they thought it looked neat. Well, to be fair, this imp is actually this guy. So this part they did. What's interesting is that there's actually a pair of imps, the Lincoln imps. But I doubt that this is random. Um, this seems deliberate. This relief. At some point, I think the crucible might have been the sun. Yeah, that's sort of where I'm going now, and I'm not really sure what direction to go in there. But to me, this kind of looks like the sun, and the idea that the fell god lives inside the sun, and then the sun is the crucible. So like they have, and what does it say? The fire giants they borrowed the power of the fell god, right? Uh, power no from the power. Yeah, this is an interesting quote. So the oops. So the fire giants borrowed from the power of a fell god, and still they were defeated. So I was thinking, well, what if there's like a Prometheus myth where they stole fire from the sun and kept it in this crucible, and that's where their fell god was. And that's why the fell god lives in this thing. Sorrel says Crucible in the Sun just feels like the kiln eclipse imagery we got in DS3. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, um in Dark Souls, like the sun, it was kind of weird because the sun was it wasn't exactly that the sun was the first flame. I don't think that was the idea, but it was sort of like the sun was the representation. It was the correspondence. It was that like the celestial representation of the flame. And so as the flame died in Dark Souls 1, the sun went out and Gwendolyn kept it alive with, he sort of made it seem like it was still there with an illusion. And as you went into places that were more connected to the abyss, like the Darkroot Forest, the sun wasn't visible. Um, and then in Dark Souls 3, you get like the sun is sort of being swallowed or quenched by this heavy dark soul, this heavy liquid of the dark soul that's being filled out by that, and it's sort of dripping down, and the ring of fire is weakening. Um, but it wasn't that the sun was the fire exactly. It was more like it was symbolic of it. And I think that might be a kind of similar thing where the sun is like things in space are just not, they don't exist in the world in the same way. I think in Miyazaki land, stars and space is not, it's not just um it's not just like the normal world. It's a different kind of world. It's a different layer of reality. Do I think the Nox predate or postdate the Placidusax era? Oh, that was for Assailant. The Nox possibly had their own god with an ER before they betrayed the greater will and got banished. Um, as far as we know, there have only ever been two hosts of the Elden Ring. Who knows what things were like before Placidusax's consort messed with it during their reign? Technically, we don't absolutely know that there were even two hosts. It might have been Marika, might have been Placidusax's god. I think you have to do some tying up of loose ends to make that work, but we don't know for a fact that there has ever been another god besides Marika. Um, yeah, I'm not sure where to take this next with the Crucible. Crucible being the sun. Definitely the Prometheus Smith feels right somehow. Smithing is considered divine. I'll put that line in here because that's important. Is said to have, no, was considered divine. What was it? Yeah, there we go. In the distant path, smithing was considered divine, and it originated amongst the giants. Those are both important, I think. Smithing, because smithing is also related to life, creation of life, metals. Where's the everything is blended together line? Okay, I just need to put a few of these in here. All life was once blended together. Um, Have you seen 1.0 item descriptions? The Stormveil Exile armor says something about covering the eye from the Curse of Godwyn. That's interesting. I don't remember that one. Exile armor. Oh, yeah. Expose thyself not, but govern thyself to be whole hid, else the curse slip inside thee. Yeah, there is something interesting about the Banished Knights and the Exile Armor guys. Like, they're trying to hide themselves, covering themselves with cloth. I wonder if that is related to these guys screaming at night. They're trying to not be... They're trying to hide themselves from the sun, maybe? But why? It's weird that these guys scream at night. It would make more sense if they were screaming during the day. I wonder if there's other... So, banished armor, all of this stuff. What else do the Exile armor guys have? Do they have any special weapons? Oh, I have not put in Dung Eater here as well, which I do need to do that. That's definitely... I have no idea how that connects to the sun. Why is that? Why is that a part of it? Actually, I wonder if Zlovsky has a... just want to see the medallion itself. Okay, well that's pretty good. I don't understand why he has a sun medallion. What is going on there? Why? Why is the sun medallion? Why is there the sun? The mending rune of the fell curse kind of looks like an eclipse. Actually, I did forget to put in uh the other mending rune, which does definitely have an eclipse, but let me look at them both. So, mending rune. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of them of Dung Eaters looking like an eclipse, but that does kind of... Yeah, that's interesting. Is it a sun? Let's just throw in the gold masks as well, for good measure. That's interesting. They're all suns. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Are they all just suns? Is every mending rune a way of conceiving of the sun? Um, oh, that's right. There is a description for dung eaters. Okay, let me find that. Sun-shaped medallion. There we go. The heavy sun-shaped medallion represents both the guidance he once saw and the ring to which it will one day lead. So, wait, so that means that the... Oops. Uh, so, what I'm hearing here is the sun represents the ring. Interesting that it's heavy. It's like weighing him down like a duty, a chain. Yes, I have the Sun Realm shield. That's part of it. You have to watch each ending cutscene to see where they land. That's true. They're all in kind of different places. So, Age of Stars, Frenzied Flame. That's the inverted sun. That's what I'm going to say. It's the opposite of the sun. Okay, Blessing of Despair. So, there we go. So the Blessing of Despair finishes the whole part of it. Wait, let me just pull up a okay, let's see. Let's get these mending runes over here and then pull in a there's a good picture of the Elden Ring. Elden Ring. Oh, Elden Ring. Okay. So... Okay, let's see. So, this one... Oops. Let's send it back. So this one goes... This is like giant. Right? Yeah, it completes that. That's kind of interesting. Interesting. So that goes there. Okay. What about the gold mask one? That actually encapsulates the ring. So that one's even bigger in a way. So it's like that. Never realized they were this big. Yeah. That really looks like a sun. Bu- 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 bu. Don't forget gold mask. Oh, gold masks. Gold mask. Is that what you're saying? Meaning? Yeah. I wasn't sure about. I mean, obviously, it is meant to. I'll just pull it in so I don't forget. But obviously, it is meant to evoke the sun. But for some reason, I feel like it's a bit of a red herring. But actually, putting them side by side with. That's interesting. That's phrased very similar. The heavy sun shaped medallion represents both the guidance he once sought and the ring to which it will one day lead. Its striking design represents both the brilliant inspiration that once shone upon him and the vision of a ring that he will surely find. That's interesting. Yeah, that really looks like a sun. And then the Duskborn. That one's just at the very bottom, which is interesting. It's a lot tinier. Maybe not that tiny, but something like that. Actually, wait, it looks completely. Oops. Why did that happen? Is it still all visible? Okay. Um, why does it look so different here? I mean, for one, it's more like this, but it's also gold. That's interesting. Duskborn, along with everything Castle Soul, associates the sun with life and death above all else. Yes. Hmm. The other ones are exactly like that's the exact way that it looks, right? They don't change at all. That is exactly. I guess with gold masks, it doesn't. You don't see the inner stuff that well. All you really see with gold masks is the outer ring. Also interesting, but you can see is is Radigan's rune present? You can see it faintly. Am I crazy here? Hold on. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. But if I go frame by frame, you can see just the hints of that lattice, I think. Because that's a circle. But I think there's still... Yeah, it still looks... If you look at, like, the bottom of where the circles are, of where the four circles are, you can see there's little bits of that lattice is still there, I think. Let me go to Dung Eater's version. Still kind of... Are we in 4K? No. I think it's still just faintly there. There's something... I don't know, it's so faint, it's hard to tell. There's something... Because there shouldn't be... Like, okay, wait, let me go back to this. So if you were to take out the lattice, right, there shouldn't be anything below these circles. It should just be the line here. But if you look at it, like, there's something there. You can see, like a line going this way. I think there's something there. I think all the versions, you don't ever see the thing at the top. Right? You never see this one, the sort of rune arc at the top. Okay, America drops down. Also, yeah, okay. Okay, Radigan gets up, and then we see inside him, there's the Elden Ring. And then the Elden Ring leaves. Yeah, you never see the rune arc. That's interesting. Let me open that up. Rune arc is an item. And where is it? Right there. It's always been a bit unclear whether the rune arc is meant to be the top one or the bottom one, or one of the middle ones. Why are there so many different things? I suppose we should also get a picture of the moon here. Picture of the Farum Azula one. Let's see. Where did I put that? Um, that's a fun piece. Let me see. Okay, let me read some comments. See how Dung Eater's rune starts only at the top of the rings and not the upper part where America's life rune starts? Um, hmm. So if we were to put this, it's a little bit smaller. It's more like that size. Yes, interesting. Whereas gold masks, would gold masks encapsulate? Wait, oops. Gold mask. That looks like it would. This might be a little bit on the large side. But I think it would still encapsulate that. That's the representation of him cursing us to cut us off from the tree. Hmm. That's an interesting idea. Where's the rune arc description? This is an old description, I think, because it was changed a couple times. So let me see. That's one. What do we have here? That's a different one. So this is the current one, I think. I don't think this adds much, so we'll just leave this one. So the lower arc of the Elden Ring. Oh, it's the lower arc. Okay. Hmm. So what does Marika's rune do? Okay. With an Elden rune. Marika's Sword Seal. Where do I find that? Items, notes, talismans. So if the lower arc of the Elden Ring is the basin where the blessings pool, what is the upper part? What is the upper arch? And what does that mean that this rune sits there? It's sitting in the basin. It's making a circle between the basin and outside the basin. What is that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to mean? Marika is the tree, so by using his mending rune, he prevents all from returning to the tree, as said in the lore of the omen. That sort of fits, because then we have... I guess I'll just upload it again. Where was it? No. We had this thing. So if this is the Elden Ring, then this is Marika. She is the tree. So this cuts us off from the tree. This it encapsulates everything. The tree, it's Marika, the Elden Ring. It's all contained within a circle, so that's order. So then what about this one, though? This is the weird one. It's a circle that extends outside of... Half of the circle is outside of the Elden... Like, of the arc, the lowest arc. It goes beyond the lowest arc. The top rune emits light, the bottom rune photosynthesizes it. I mean, just visually, this seems to me like it's there to collect something from above. As soon as I saw the paintings in Roundtable Hold for the first time, I went, oh, Marika is the Erd Tree somehow. Yeah, oh, for sure. There's that one painting that is, it's like, it's as clear as you can get with it, with the symbolism. I don't know if I don't think I have the paintings saved anywhere. Yeah, this is going to give me like fan art. Well, that's the one actually. This is the one I'm talking about. Even though this is a terrible picture. Yeah, putting her right there in front of the Erd Tree. It's definitely making that equivalence. It lowers the reach of the Elden Ring to those who live in death. The lowest beneath the basin. I can see something in that direction. Yeah, it's like this is... Blessings are what heal people, right? So like blessings are life. So this is... It's creating its own little circle of... The upper part is where life is, and the lower part is where death is. Maybe this one is talking about the roots because of death root. The roots. The roots. The roots. Let me pull up the different mending rune descriptions. So, rune of transcendental ideology, which will attempt to perfect the Golden Order. The current imperfection of the Golden Order or instability of ideology can be blamed on the fickleness of the gods no better than men. That is the fly in the ointment. Okay, but that makes sense because it's like, no, now order is gonna be perfect. We're gonna surround everything with this circle. So I get that idea. So then this is a bit more unusual. The reviled curse will last eternally. The world's children, grandchildren, and every generation hence will be its pustules. If order is defiled entirely, defilement is defilement no more, and for every curse a cursed blessing. I still don't feel like I've fully understand this one. I think I get the idea of it eclipsing the Elden Ring. And cutting off from Marika. There's still something about it that doesn't quite fit. And then the Death Prince one. The weird thing about the Death Prince is also that it is Godwyn. It's literally born from Fia of Godwyn. So that is embedding the principle of life within death into order. The lower part is death. Farum Azula Elden Ring has the lower part as root. Yeah, that's why I like, I mean, this is sort of a joke, but it also, I kind of like this picture of putting the Farum one below, connecting it, rather than being a different version of this, that it's actually connected. And now, like, that kind of fits with how the Erdtree. Duskborn is the happiest slash best. I just don't really get the Duskborn. I don't really know what it means. Like, what does that world look like now that life within death is in order? I just don't. What does that mean? I don't have a good enough idea of how the world is going to be different because of that. Like, is it just that everybody's okay with skeleton people? Like, skeleton people, nobody's going to hate them anymore? Is that the idea? Like, I don't. Is it physically? Are things gonna change? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I think I better go eat some food. Um, there's a lot more to add to this. Oh yeah, there's all this stuff about lightning. I really have to put that over there for now. Lightning, light. A lot more about stars than I need to think about. Hmm. Skeleton people is an antiquated term. It's proper to say bony boys. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. I will be I'll try to be sensitive. Um at some point someone said to look at the ending of the frenzied flame because it looks like a it does it is weird how that looks like a curse mark. A centipede. Wait. Let's put this in there. Items. Curse mark, curse mark, curse mark. Where there we go. The idea that the curse mark is not just a broken piece of this. This is something else. This is just a symbol of death. A centipede. Maybe. Um, Finger Slayer Blade. Finger Slayer Blade. What about the symbol that appears when we do Ghost Flame Sorcery? I believe that is also like it's neither the single centipede nor the doubled one. It's like a circle. Hold on. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. Damn, that's even closer to the Frenzied Flame. That is remarkably close. It's a bit better. Clear to see. That is very interesting. That really is quite close. That's not unintentional. Is that supposed to be grace? What, the flame? It's coming from inside the Erd Tree. That's also interesting. But it is like, it's interesting that it's also going into the sky. Like, why would it go into the sky? It's, if it's about the Erd Tree and the world burning, it should be the flames on the ground. But it is this sort of eclipse instead, so it's represented in the celestial realm. And also your head. The way that looks is like, it looks like a hole, because you can see this sort of like, you can see the bits of the edge of it, like kind of creeping in as if they're being sucked in. It's a black hole in the middle. You see that? Like the little teeth. It's like a sandworm mouth. Damn, it actually looks exactly like a sandworm. Hold on. Bruh. Am I right? Totally is. It's the inverted sun. Burns the Erd Tree from the inside rather than the outside. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. It burns the Erd Tree from the inside. It's the inversion of all the other forms of burning the Erd Tree. Burn it from the outside. The inside is safe. The inside, you're repairing the Elden Ring, and you're burning the outer part. What are you lord of in this ending? Nothing? I don't know. I feel like with Miyazaki, it's framed as if um everything is going to die. Like just the whole world is going to be totally lifeless and melted into one thing. But I feel like with Miyazaki, like you hear that and you imagine, oh, literally we just it all burns and there's nothing left. I think with Miyazaki, if you were to imagine what would go on after this, there would still be a weird world where metaphorically everything was burned and melted into one, but it was still like a world. Like if you made a game in that world, you'd still be able to play in it and there would be like different people, but they'd all be the same person. Shit. The frenzy also starts inside with the eyes. Yeah, it's all internal. It's all internal. Oops. It's an inversion of everything. Okay, I need to go eat food because I'm uh I'm losing it. But I'm glad this is an interesting connection here. This is an interesting connection. I'll have to think about. Let me add in one more thing, which is the golden centipede. So the golden centipede is a fetish. What is it called? Kept as a fetish. It's weird because this one is found by Radigan churches specifically. Hmm. Okay. Okay, I need to go eat. I need to go eat. That's it for me. All right. That's a good little bit of I'll have to start organizing this a bit better, but that's some good thing. There is the Sekiro thing with centipedes. Centipedes being immortality and scorpions. Okay, okay, I need to go. All right. Um Thanks for joining the stream, guys. I'm out of here.